Now that we've seen the challenge that faces anyone who wants to apply the Old Testament to our day, we should turn to our second concern in the subject of application. What are the lines of connection that make it possible for us to take teaching from the world of the Old Testament across the historical gap and into our contemporary world? What commonalities make this possible? For any book to have relevance for someone's life, there needs to be some kind of connection between the reader and the content of the book. Somehow, there must be enough in common between what the book says and what its readers experience in their own lives for the book to be applicable. This is true of books in general, and it's also true of the Old Testament in particular. So at this point, we need to ask what connections exist between the Old Testament world and our world that make it applicable or relevant for our lives today. There are many ways we could catalog these connections, but I've found it helpful to think in terms of three things we have in common with the original audiences of the Old Testament. Specifically, we have the same God, we live in the same world, and we are the same kind of people. Let's unpack these three lines of connection. First, as we study the Old Testament together, we should always be mindful of the fact that the God of New Testament Christians is the same God we read about in the Old Testament. Faithful Christians today worship and serve the same God that faithful ancient Israelites served even before Jesus was born. The fact that we serve the same God establishes very important connections because the Scriptures teach that God is immutable or unchangeable. He is the same today as he was back in ancient times. Now we have to be careful here. The Bible teaches that God is immutable, but only in certain ways. Immutability does not mean that God does nothing. It does not mean that he is immobile. Instead, as traditional Christian theology teaches, there are three main ways in which God is immutable. He does not change in his eternal counsel, in his character or attributes, or in his covenant promises. Let's unpack these ways in which God's immutability ensures that he is the same now as he was in the days of the Old Testament. First, God's eternal counsel is unchanging. Now, the Bible clearly teaches that everything God has done and everything that God is doing is part of an unchanging, unified design. As the prophet Isaiah put it in Isaiah chapter 46, verse 10, "I make known the end from the beginning, from ancient times what is still to come. I say, my purpose will stand. I will do all that I please." In these lessons, we'll explore the goal and direction of this eternal plan in some detail, but at this point it will suffice to say that the immutability of God's eternal plan teaches us that his purposes in the Old Testament align with his purposes in the New Testament. No matter what differences we see, the two testaments do not represent two different plans, one replacing or contradicting the other. On the contrary, the Old Testament and New Testament are phases or steps of one unified plan that has and always will move history toward one unchanging goal.